it's all well and good getting excited about a battle for 7th place, but when the leader is 47 seconds ahead, that's not really fun, and it's a hard sell. So while my friends were all doing that, I was in drama school where it was 8 a.m. on the dot start. You lock your phone away in a locker, and you do not look at anything else till I don't know, sometimes 5 p.m., sometimes like 8 p.m.
Hello and welcome to On Track GP. I'm Jamie Chambers, and today we are so lucky. We have got motorsport broadcaster Harry Benjamin. Harry, how are you?
I'm very well. Merry Christmas.
And Merry Christmas to you too. Yep, we're coming out on Christmas Day. Super excited. We've got our Christmas jumpers on.
Yes.
Are you in the Christmas spirit already?
I'm trying to be. I did actually go and see a panto the other day, which got me more into the Christmas festivities. But I am lacking on feeling too festive.
Well, I mean, being in broadcasting, at some point you're going to have to play something in the panto, aren't you?
Well, that would be the dream. That would be the dream. And hey, off season, I've got to fill my time with something, right? So.
I mean, it's so short, the off season.
Yeah, that is the thing.
I mean, everyone starts itching for 2024, the immediacy that like the podium at Abu Dhabi's done, and it's like, right, next year, what's happening? Like, what are we gonna do? Yeah. It must be even more hectic for you. You must be like,
I mean, it is and it isn't. I think I'm quite good at just switching off and going, no, right, I'm done now. I don't want to think about
Formula One brain off
for just at least a week, please. But you know, the way the world works now, there's news constantly, even if there's not really any news. There's always something happening, and you've got to keep on top of it. You've just got to know about it. But I think, you know, I think now between Christmas and New Year is a good time where you can literally just switch off. You know, most of the teams aren't working in that little bit in between.
You'd hope so. And
then it is, you know, launch dates start coming out.
Ferrari have already announced.
Exactly. It's the 13th, isn't it? Thankfully, it's not Friday, so they've dodged that bit. But I did check. As soon as I saw it was the 13th, I was like,
that would
set
their season up fantastically.
But but then you're straight into launch season, and then before you know it, pre-season testing, and then you're bang straight into it. And next year, longest season ever. So brace yourselves.
Record-breaking season. I'm half looking forward to it, half thinking how many times they're going to have to step off a driver for exhaustion.
Oh, well, I mean, this is the thing, right? I mean, my worry is more Max Verstappen winning all 24 races. That's my worry.
Right, we've won 19 out of 22. I mean, and then they go, oh, we can tidy this up. We know what we did wrong in Singapore. And the other races are races that we've done before. So there's nothing new coming to it in that sense.
I mean, you have to take your hat off, first of all, and go, I mean, amazing work. Congratulations. It's the most dominant anyone's ever been. I think you even go back to Schumacher, really. But I think what's easily missed, I think, is that actually the gap behind with everybody else is really tight.
It concertinaed up.
So you can get excited about that, but I understand to the general viewer that it's all well and good getting excited about a battle for 7th place, but when the leader is 47 seconds ahead, that's not really fun, and it's a hard sell. So I'm just hoping it's up to everybody else now to try and close that gap and catch up to Red Bull. So fingers crossed.
Exactly that.
But it's still a masterful work.
So let's talk more about you. So, right, first things first, how did you get started?
Good question. How did I get started?
Because you do a lot. You broadcast a lot.
Yeah, I probably do. Well, I'm a freelancer, so if I'm not working, I'm not earning. I think I started really properly when I was maybe at school, or laid the foundations at least when I was at school. So maybe about 16, 17 years old, and set up a motorsport blog online, and just started writing about Formula One initially. That's awesome. Like stories that interested in me, like random stories that not like mainstream ones, because I was like, oh, you know, they'll be on the BBCs.
Just ignoring Hamilton for a while.
Yeah, I was like, let's talk about. At the time, I remember doing stories on like a guy called Charles Peake, who used to race for Caterham back in the day, and Marussia, and like, you know, his story, which I just always found those backmarker stories fascinating, because they never really got the coverage on the mainstream broadcast. So I always used to like go digging out and find out who those people were.
Stories for the underdogs.
Yeah, so that's always felt like that was my niche within the niche that is Formula One. So and then it just sort of progressed from there. And then I was also doing a lot of drama and acting at the time at school, and then I wanted to go to drama school and be an actor. So I didn't bother with like university or anything like that initially, and I was like, I want to go to drama school. So I did all the auditions, and I got into one place and did a foundation there. Then quickly decided that I didn't really want to do drama school. The next step would have been to try and get onto like a 3-year course, but that's very intense. And I also loved doing the broadcasting and the motorsport, and you don't have any other opportunities to do that when you're at a drama school. You do at university.
It's a 3-year sort of blanket ban, essentially.
Yeah, it's just so, you've got to be so intense with acting. It's hard to train as an actor, and you've got to want it more than anything. And I suppose at the time I probably didn't want it. I wanted to do other things as well, and university appealed because you could get involved in the radio society and the TV, as well as do a bit of drama and acting. So then went off to the university, did a few bits of radio and stuff like that, and it kind of just sort of expanded from there, really.
Well, you kind of skirted around one particular part because you went to RADA.
I did, yes.
How was that?
Yeah, it was pretty good. Intense. My friends will laugh because normally I'm straight away to go, well, I did go to RADA.
It is a thing, sort of RADA, Central, Lambda.
Yeah, so, I mean, for anyone who doesn't know, it's the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art. It is one of the top drama schools. So, and that was the only one. I auditioned for like 12.
Yeah.
The only one that
not a bad one to be the only one.
No, I was like, thank you very much. And
I went to the poor school, so you stepped up.
Hey, look, I mean, at the end of the day, they're all kind of teaching the same thing. So it's just some have been around longer than others, RADA being one of them. I mean, it was amazing. Like, the buildings are great. That the teachers you get are just the knowledge they have and the experience they have is amazing. It is intense, though. And to go from... Well, actually, it was quite good going from school to drama school, because in school, you have a structure. I started at 8:30 in the morning, and you finish at 4:00, and you have your lunch and your breaks and whatever. Whereas when you go to university, obviously, all of a sudden, it's quite loose schedule. You can turn up to lectures if you want to.
It becomes very laissez-faire very quickly.
Exactly. Whereas so while my friends were all doing that, I was in drama school where it was 8 a.m. on the dot start. You lock your phone away in a locker, and you do not look at anything else till I don't know, sometimes 5 p.m, sometimes like 8 p.m. So depending on how hard you're working, yeah. So it's a lot, and it is great, but again, it comes back to what I was saying. You've got to want it so much more than anything else. Because even when you get to the end of 3 years or whatever, it's still a dogfight to try and sort of make it.
So oversaturated at this point.
Exactly. Although again, what isn't these days?
Yeah.
But so I quickly realised. I think I realised at the end of the first week, to be honest, at RAD, I was like, I love it, but this is not for me. And I went to university the year later.
And you've been broadcasting since sort of 17 years old, 18 years old. Is that always what you wanted to do? Was that always your end target?
I think so. I think it was sort of in line with kind of the acting stuff at the time, but I always watched the telly and I looked at people like Jake Humphrey or Ben Shepherd's, like those people at the time who I sort of very much looked at on the TV, especially Jake, who was presenting BBC F1 at the time, and I was like, that's what I want to do.
End goal.
Simple as, and then I want to present Tipping Point. One day it'll happen. But I just sort of, I think I was quite proactive and narrow-minded with, this is what I'm going to do. There ain't no other option. I'm not good at maths or science. I come from a very medical kind of math family.
Yeah.
So doing drama and the writing and the broadcasting was very different.
Sure.
But I was like, there's no, I literally can't do anything else. So this is what I'm going to do. But Formula One was so far away from the periphery. I was like, and this was when I was sort of getting into it. It was Bernie Ecclestone era. I didn't know anybody.
Still vaguely traditional Formula One at that point.
Where were the opportunities?
American owners hadn't come in, all that sort of
no
stuff.
Content creators back then.
No.
If there were, very small, and I couldn't, YouTube. I wasn't actually really on. I didn't watch YouTube really, so I didn't know who the people were back then. Yeah. So I thought, it's never going to happen. Won't bother with Formula One. But then this thing called Formula E started.
Yes.
And I was like, here we go. I think I was 18 at the time. I was revising for my A-levels. And Formula E just had its first season. And I thought, got to get in. Early start, foot in the door, got to get in somewhere.
In at ground level.
Yeah. So I remember emailing the producer. I watched the credits at the end of the Formula E broadcast, found who produced it, found an email address while I was supposed to be revising for my A-levels, basically sent them an email being like, this is what I want to do. Can I have some work experience? And at the time, I look back at it now and I sort of gave them my predicted A-level grades as if that would have been the clincher.
That's the tipping.
Yeah. So, I'm predicted an A in geography.
Which really translates well to journalism and Formula E.
Exactly. So somehow it worked. And then they invited me to Donington Park for pre-season testing for the second ever Formula E test, or the second ever Formula E season. Went along. I was the runner. Helped out camera operators. I met the presenter, Nicki Shields, and I basically actually harangued Nicki Shields for advice and help. And
no bad thing.
And she gave me her email address, which is the worst thing she could have possibly done because she never had the end of it really. And she, I say this to anybody. Nicki was somebody who helped me out a lot when I was just starting. And because she got nothing out of it.
It's like dark magic, isn't it? Like if you're not behind the curtain, you don't know how anything works. You don't know who to talk to, and you need someone to sort of peer the curtain back a little bit.
Yeah, and that's what she did for me, because she obviously took some sort of liking to me. I think she liked the fact that I was quite proactive and I was updating her with stuff I was doing.
Awesome.
And then eventually she sort of helped introduce me to some people who might be able to help set up some meetings for me with sort of like production companies that did kind of junior motorsport, and then she kind of offered me a job herself. I used to help her out with like social media bits and that kind of thing, and I even went to some Formula E races with her to help her work on one of her shows, and she kind of became a bit of a mentor at the time. So she was a massive help. So doing that Formula E Donington test was probably the best thing ever, because although on the day I was just milling around, and you look back at the Formula E cars back there, then they were very interesting. But
especially with the having to change to a second car.
Yeah, they had to. The pit stop was drive in, unbuckle, run out to the next car. In some ways, I think that should have stayed, because
I
that
kind of
really
like that
pinpoints them separately, doesn't it, to any other championship? So yeah, and then it just kind of grew from there. And then, as I said, I went to university and got involved. I went to UEA, the University of East Anglia, purely because Greg James went there to do the radio,
nice.
live wire 1350, and got involved in that. Was doing entertainment bits and bobs.
And then weren't you also an an accidental producer with Dave Berry?
Yeah, I've done so many different things.
What is an accidental producer?
So basically, I do it through doing the radio at uni. They do this thing every year, and which is brilliant for student radio. Actually, they do this thing called the Student Radio Conference, and each year a station bids to host it. And the year I was there, our station won the opportunity. So every station from around the universities comes and congregates, and there's conferences, and you get to network basically. Yeah. And they do this competition called Demo Factor, which is as scary as it sounds. It's essentially the X Factor, but for your radio demo.
That's cool.
So you submit your 2 minutes of radio that you've produced on student radio, and the judges, I think that and they have a big judging panel, and your name you might not get played, but it's random. My name got played. So you stand up, and the presenter of it is an Absolute Radio presenter called Ben Burrell, and he sort of harangues you into the front row, asks you questions, and then you look up at the judging panel, and who was it at the time? It was the boss of BBC Radio 1, the boss of 5 Live, and then you had Jordan North from Radio 1, Pandora, who I think is on Heart now, and and the boss of Absolute Radio.
So no challenge.
Yeah,
all.
and an agent, and a talent agent. So your heart is, and demo got played out, and you either get buzzed out straight away, or it just fizzles out, and they give you some feedback, or you get a golden buzzer, which puts you through to the final round and the chance to win. And I got a golden buzzer.
Amazing.
So I was like, oh my god, okay, here we go. Got to the final 4 or whatever it was. I didn't win. But I say I came third, which gave me the chance. I got offered some work experience by the boss of Absolute Radio. And while I went to Absolute Radio in the summer, did a couple of weeks of tech hopping and just helping out on various shows, the Dave Berry Breakfast Show, all this kind of stuff. Then I went away, back to uni, and then every sort of other weekend they asked me, could I do some tech hopping like on a freelance basis? And I was like, yeah, sure. And then one day out of the blue, they said, I think what basically happened is the two producers on the Absolute Radio Breakfast Show had booked holiday at the same time, and no one had quite clocked that until the week before.
Okay.
So they said to me, can you shadow for a day and then can you hold it for a week?
Wow. So no stress.
So no stress. They did bring in so they had an exec who came in to sit and to make sure nothing went completely wrong. But I did sort of the teching of it all. So I would put the show together on a thing called Zeta and on a program output called Zeta, and I would just be generally like the assistant producer when I did not have the experience to be an assistant producer,
awesome.
having just had a day of watching the other guy do it and figuring out how to video edit.
Proper
and
trial
all
by
this kind of
fire.
stuff.
So
Yeah, everything I've done has been thrown at the deep end.
well, that's
Go
what I wanted
for
to
it.
talk to you about. Is you're doing Formula 1, Formula 2, Formula 3. You've just done some great stuff for the kids as well.
Yeah,
And then on top of that, you're sort of all around the world doing all this great stuff. You've just presented the FIA Awards.
Oh, yeah.
You say it like, oh yeah, I remember that. What has been your pinch me moment?
That's hard. This year has been mega. Can't lie. This has been the best year ever, probably.
Well, just looking at your socials and seeing like up on that stage is quite
that
incredible.
was FIA Awards was scary. I was very nervous for that.
Well, it didn't show, so the fact that
good. There we go. I had lots of powder on my face to stop the sweat coming through. And very under rehearsed as well. I don't know.
Lots of cue cards.
I think there's been a few different pinch me moments. Like even the first time I did an F1 commentary was last year for 5 Live. That was kind of like I've just done the Australian Grand Prix.
And what a race to commentate on as well.
So that was a bit mad. And then I suppose it was getting a call from Sky to do the F1 Kids, and then going out to Hungary with Sky and holding a Sky microphone, and I presented a bit of the F1 show. I did some commentary it was for the kids, but I was also like, I'm having a great time. Doing some crossovers with Crofty on the commentary. And I grew up watching Sky. So that was a whole sitting in on the production meetings every morning was
wow.
Sitting next to Martin Brundle, Nico Rosberg to my left, Simon Lazenby, Crofty, Rachel Brooks. This was
incredible.
This was mad. And then doing commentary and having Nico Rosberg come in, or Stefano Domenicali, or whoever it was coming in and out of the commentary box. And this was just I just had to go. I was supposed to be the experienced hand who'd been there, done that for the kids. So I'm keeping cool. Where actually I'm
heart rate through the
roof. What is happening? So that was a big pinch me moment. And then again, the FIA Awards as well. That was kind of cool to get that job and to present in front of a big audience and actually interview sort of face to face Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton, Oscar Piastri, and also all the other champions from motorsport as well. So it's not just Formula One.
Yeah.
I've been lucky. There's a lot of pinch me moments this year. So
just little bruises all
2024. Yeah, that's the. I do believe in luck. I think you make your own luck.
Agree with
very
that.
much, but you do need that right place, right time moment.
And the harder you work, the luckier you get.
That's what I believe, and I have worked quite hard, and since this has been maybe nearly 10 years, sort of since I started a little blog. So, although it's all happened quite quickly within maybe a couple of years or so, there's been a lot of hard graft behind it. But then you've got to work harder to stay there. Because it's like F1, you got to keep your seat because there's other people coming for you
always, the whole time.
Yeah. So a lot of pinch me moments this year. So I'm hoping and that's my trouble, taking the time to actually reflect and enjoy it. Now I think now is the off season I can sort of do that a bit.
Yeah. Turn off from it and look back and go. And speaking of that, looking back, what were your thoughts on the 2023 season? Yeah,
I mean, a little bit disappointing with Verstappen and dominance. Obviously, nobody really wants to see that. You know what though? There were some really good races. You look at Vegas, turned out pretty well.
I was genuinely surprised about that.
Yeah, I think we all were. And they really proved the point. It was really like I told you so moment. Yeah, it was not a good start. But to have Verstappen diving down the inside of Leclerc right at the very start.
Yeah.
It was like a bit of a Verstappen of old all of a sudden, because we hadn't really seen him have to fight, whereas he was elbows out from the get-go there.
Elbows
throughout the
out,
race.
completely off the track, and just
I'll take the position.
Yeah.
Give me the 5-second time penalty. That's the thing that needs sorting out.
I'll be 10 seconds ahead. Give me the 5 seconds. Yeah.
I don't know. I've got a big issue with those 5-second time penalties.
I'm so glad you do. I'm not the only one.
Yeah, no. Whatever happened to the drive-through penalty?
That needs to happen because it's not 5 seconds. It needs to be the full pit lane and 5 seconds.
Now they do stop and goes, but whatever happened to a drive-through? I feel like they just sort of faded out over the years.
It's this whole thing of like this FIA regulations where they go, oh no, this one's better. And then they have to stick with it, double down on it.
So that needs to be sorted out. But look, I mean, I did the Singapore Grand Prix this year, and that was, well, actually the first 20 laps a bit boring, but then the last 10 laps insane. You know, that if that gives us just a glimpse of what Formula One could be over the next couple of years, as you know, things do get more competitive and the grid tightens up, because that's what generally happens. A new regulation change
until 2026.
Yeah, it's a shame that they then switch it up. So you wonder what happened if they kept the ones from 2021, 22. But less said about that, the better.
Yes.
But so there've been glimpses of some really good racing this year, and to see like Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc fighting as hard as they did in Monza together, two Ferraris getting that close. I haven't seen that in a long time.
That's my only concern, is that we seem to get a lot of infighting going on, a lot of Mercedes versus Mercedes, Ferrari versus Ferrari. Who do you think is going to be taking the challenge to Red Bull next year?
I mean, well, if it's not Mercedes, something terrible's gone wrong for them. You know what? I don't want to jump on the Ferrari hype train that everybody and they themselves jump on every year. But you know what? If there was a few reliability issues they had this year as well, which if they can iron those out, they've got a really strong driver lineup. I mean, a lot of those teams do. I mean, Hamilton and Russell are pretty strong. Russell had a bad year.
Which is ironic because he got himself in some great positions.
Yeah, and a bit of bad luck as well, but you know, compared to his first year with Mercedes, it was not, you know, night and day. But I think with a Ferrari, you've got Leclerc, who is the faster driver, but Sainz is smart, and
Singapore showed that.
And so I think what Carlos Sainz lacks in maybe out in raw pace, he makes up for in sort of strategic mindset. I mean, Leclerc's not an idiot either, but I think that's where Sainz really comes into his own a bit more.
Certainly consistency over 60 laps.
Oh, God, absolutely. So I think those two as a pairing could really, if they got the right car underneath them, could really be a force for Ferrari and to be reckoned with.
Not Haas or Alpine.
I mean, I would love to see a Haas up there. Give me, you know what?
Hulkenberg over one lap.
He's been what a good year for him. On Haas, I know I think it was like a LinkedIn article I read or something, but they are probably the most relatable driver lineup on the grid, because they're both dads. They've both been away, come back, balancing family life. They kind of had this, I don't really care anymore. Like, I've done my bit. If I get sacked, I get sacked. I've had a pretty good career. I love that vibe from both of them. Yeah. I think I rate Magnussen as well. I think he's had a bit of a rough year in comparison to Hulkenberg, obviously. But I really like those two. And they have been up there before in the top 5. I just wish they could be there more consistently.
They're both genuinely good drivers. That's the thing. And if that Haas car was slightly less of a tractor, I think it would certainly do something.
Well, I think now next year will be the first year we see the MoneyGram money. Working,
especially with MoneyGram blazoned everywhere across.
Well, exactly that. So I think that's hopefully then they'll be able to utilize that and have a good package. But Haas's problem has always been development throughout the year. So they start off strong and they just get worse and worse. So that'll be interesting. And you mentioned Alpine as well. I read the other day that they're redoing that entire car for next year, trying to sort that out. But they have an engine deficit.
More Ryan
issue.
Reynolds money.
Well, exactly. You know, they just secured that $200 million.
Incredible.
But they have an engine deficit issue, which they're just going to have to sort of manage until 2026. And it always seems
to be that they fix the engine, then the aerodynamics is wrong. They get the aerodynamics right, the floor and the ground effect is wrong. It's a recurring problem.
Yeah, I mean, and again, great lineup. Gasly and Ocon, they've been pretty nip and tuck this year.
Got podiums.
And you forget, though, that they did get podiums, right?
I think people have to keep dragging that up just to avoid talking about Verstappen, Perez and Sainz.
Kind of. And I don't know, Alpine's a funny one. Renault, Lotus Renault, whatever you want to call them, back in the day, they've always had that. They've always been sort of, this is our plan. We're going to be in the top 3.
Their 100 race plan.
Yeah, how many races has that gone on for?
I mean, that 100 race plan is about 300 races old now.
I've been trying to count, but I've lost it. So this is the thing, right? That 100 race plan has been going on for about 10 years.
That was Kimi Raikkonen era, so that's quite a long time.
And actually, they were doing all right then. So I hope that Alpine can bring their name, because they were kind of in no man's land this year. They were right in the middle of the constructors on their own, adrift from McLaren and Aston Martin, but ahead of
that weird middle ground that doesn't quite work.
No,
you're neither bad nor good.
Yeah.
So big question: if you could sit down with 3 icons of Formula One, past or present, who would you sit down with?
Ooh. 3 icons. I think I would love to sit down with somebody like Ayrton Senna.
Yes.
That would be really cool.
I'd love to ask him what he thought of Eddie Irvine.
Just that. Yeah. That would be cool.
On top of the million other questions, but
thank you. That's all we need. And then this is such a hard question. I think probably maybe more like a modern champ. I would love to just generally have a sit down chat with Lewis Hamilton. You know,
like candid,
1 hour. You know, like over dinner, no cameras, no, it's not an interview. Nice. It's just, you know,
just on a
who
level.
are you really? You know? Because he's changed. I think he's changed a lot since he first came into Formula One. So I just love to hear him sort of speak for real.
I love that.
So who did I say? Senna, Hamilton, and I don't know. Maybe like
Well, you've got 2000s, you've got the 90s.
It would be cool to chat with Michael Schumacher.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I know I've spoken to other people and they go, Jackie Stewart and Fangio and
Fittipaldi.
Yeah, but I won't lie. You know, that era of Formula One, I don't remember very well.
I've watched 30 years before you were born.
But, you know, and you can respect those. But I know Schumacher.
Yeah. The ones that you watched on like BBC. Grandstand,
who I grew up watching essentially. So yeah, Schumacher, Senna, and Hamilton would be sort of my dinner guests.
I mean, that's one hell of an awesome dinner.
Yeah, it would be good, wouldn't it? I think they'd show up as well because I think they'd want to talk to each other.
Yeah, I think so. I think Hamilton would like to talk to Schumacher, and they'd both love to talk to Senna.
Yeah.
I think. And what are your top 3 predictions looking forward for 2024?
I predict that. I think Red Bull are still going to have a bit of a gap to everybody else.
6 months ahead at this point.
Yeah, is my one prediction. I think that Ferrari, I'm on the hype train, so I'll go Ferrari will be the second best team. And I will go for Sauber and their new name.
Stake F1 team kick Sauber.
Well remembered. Will make a big step forward.
Awesome.
Is my random prediction.
I mean, one wild prediction in there.
I
want Bottas to have a good car, to be fair.
Yeah, because I feel like he's kind of become more. He's come into his own now. He's sort of away from the corporateness of.
He's leading.
Of
he's not worried. He's also doing amazing stuff away from Formula One.
Yeah.
I mean,
have you got the calendar?
I'm going to get one. Incredible mustache.
Yeah, he's a real. He's grown into a real sort of personality now. So yeah.
And what's next for you, sort of in the off season and also 2024 and beyond?
So I will be switching my brain off probably for a bit in the off season and just detaching myself, but then as we've already said, it's straight back into it quite quickly. I should be doing some more races for 5 Live next year, which will be cool.
Awesome. And you're enjoying that?
Yeah. You know, it is, and radio commentary is really hard. So
are you like me? Did you used to have the radio commentary with the TV on?
I should probably say yes, but no.
No, just me.
But I know people do that because we then we give sort of time markers for people to sync up on the radio. But radio commentary's been a real lesson to learn, and you've got to keep talking and you've got to be really descriptive.
Super descriptive.
So that's a real challenge and one that I love doing, and there's a great team to work with as well. And then there are some other things going on.
Are you doing the kids stuff again next year?
Don't know yet. Don't know what's going on with that. But there's some cool stuff coming for next year that I'm not allowed to talk about. I can be that
NDAs
guy.
across
I can
the
be that
board.
guy
I
and
love
go,
that.
I can't talk about that, I'm afraid.
But you can post on Twitter saying amazing stuff coming. And
Yeah, exactly. Do a whole tease, get people really annoyed, and then that'll be it. But
So
I'm looking
Harry,
forward to it.
where can people find you on socials and the internet and all that fun stuff?
I'm Harry Benjamin on, I think, pretty much everything.
Nice and succinct.
even Threads, which seems to be popping off at the moment.
Is that a thing now?
Well, I didn't use it, but then suddenly apparently it went live in Europe, and I got a load of new followers off the back of it. So I was like, okay.
What I thought was amazing is that they just gave everyone a Threads account.
Yeah,
unelected.
Forced social media. So I am on Threads, not that I post on it, but I'm on everything else: Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube.
all
Trying
the-
to
all
keep
of
up
the
with
above.
everyone. Yeah, it's a tough word you got to keep up with these days.
Harry, thank you so much. You've been genuinely awesome.
Oh, thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
It's been absolutely fantastic, and maybe your predictions will come true.
Who knows?
I kind of want Bottas at the front a little bit.
I think I would pay good money for that.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, that has been On Track GP and our chat with Harry Benjamin. Merry Christmas, guys, and we will see you in the new year. Bye-bye.